This is the second version of the topic on following the Prophet ﷺ. And just a recap, in the last lesson we said that there are four types of obedience to the Prophet ﷺ. There is the first type is following him in his acts of worship. The second time is in his acts of in his dealings with people. And then the third type is it's in his habits. And then the fourth is following him in his inward state. And then so there are people who follow in acts of worship. There are those who follow in dealings with people, but they're very far from habits. But then there are those who follow him in worship. They follow him in dealings with people, in dream attraction, and they follow him with habits as well. And then the complete one is the one who follows the Prophet in all four ways, which is outwardly and inwardly. And we mentioned in Imam al-Haddad, and in one of his supplications that he reads after Surah Yasin, he would say, "O Allah, grant us obedience or following of the Prophet, complete following of the Prophet outward and inwardly." So then Imam Ghazali says, what is the secret of following the Prophet? It's not just mere reward. We know that following the Sunnah has reward. And we know from the definition of the ulama is that Sunnah is something that if you do, you get the reward for it, but if you leave it, you don't know punish for it. This is in the light. This is the definition of the scholars of jurisprudence. But as for the spiritual guys, the people of inner sight, for them, if you do Sunnah, it's not just you getting reward, you get illuminated, you get purified, you get ascended. So the Prophet ﷺ is the one who purifies, as mentioned in the Quran. He continues to purify us. Either it was direct, which was to the companions of the Prophet ﷺ, or it is through his knowledge, his Sharia, that has come down to us through generations in an unbroken chain. So all of Sharia, all of his good deeds, his character, his akhlaq, his etiquette, that all is full of light that illuminates and purifies us. The other secrets in following the Prophet ﷺ, Imam Ghazali mentioned the most important of these three secrets. And in the last lesson, we stopped at the first secret of following the Prophet ﷺ, and that was to summarize what would be that you act in you control yourself in your habits. Like for instance, you eat with your right hand, you wash yourself in the washroom with your left hand. So for instance, that's the justice, meaning you use things for their purpose. So if you were to, let's say, eat with your left hand and wash with your right hand, then you have oppressed the left hand and oppressed the right hand, because so Imam Ghazali is saying that if you don't do such sunnahs, even though the scholars say that sunnah is something that you are rewarded for if you do it and not punished for leaving it, but still if you don't restrain your limbs by making them move in accordance with sunnah, then you will end up oppressing, being an oppressor. You will oppress other people, you will take the rights of other people, because uh, you don't restrain yourself um, to follow the method of the Prophet, like entering the mosque with your right foot and leaving the mosque with your left foot. Like also, if you eat with your left hand, we all know that shaitan also eats with you, even though it's something we don't see, but this is from the secret prophetic secrets that we're not aware of, and the Prophet informed us of this. There are people who don't accept. They need confirmation or they need proof. So the Prophet told us that the one who eats with his left hand, then shaitan is eating with him. The people of yaqeen, the people of certainty, are not waiting for reasons. They'll just follow the Prophet system. They say we hear and we obey. But the Prophet wants to show more mercy to the Ummah, and he knows that there are people who are simple-minded, or there are people who have some qualities of the hypocrites, and he discloses some of the secrets. And so one of them is that if you eat from your left hand, then shaitan eats with you, even though you may not be seeing the devil, and you don't see it eat with you, and you don't even see the food diminishing, because if there are two people eating, the food will get less. But how is it? How does how does how what does it mean the shaitan is eating with you? It means that there will be no blessing in the food. You're not you don't satiate. You still feel hungry. Maybe you ate and after an hour you feel more hungry. Where did that food go? In just an hour you feel hungry again. That is there's a shaitan which the Prophet informed us of. Similarly, your house. If you enter your house with your left foot, then the shaitan enters with you. And if you enter the washroom with your right foot, then the devil enters with you. Meaning you'll be walking around with the devils with you. What would say, isn't it enough for me to just remember Allah Azza wa Jal? We say it's not enough, because when you say Bismillah, you say Bismillah based on your understanding, level of understanding of Bismillah. But the Prophet wants to cut off the effect of the devils, so that there's no effect of any devil on you. So, and as you know, that the devils, the jinn. First of all, who are the shayateen? Who are the devils? The devils are the disbelievers amongst the jinns. And with this we can mention another something related, just to draw because it's a point of knowledge. The jinn or the shaitan, the devil, is of two types, or actually so many types. There are those who are Muslims, and then there are those who are non-Muslims, disbelievers. And then there are strong jinns, and then there are weak jinns. Just like humans. In humans, there are Muslims and there are disbelievers. And then there are humans who's strong, and then there are humans that are weak. And then there are humans that are Muslims and strong, and then there are Muslims who are weak. Similarly, amongst the jinn, there are jinns who are Muslim and they're strong, and then there are jinns that are Muslims but they're weak, and then there are jinns that are disbelievers but they're strong, and then there are jinns that are disbelievers and weak. So, for instance, the jinn that is a Muslim and is strong is called an ifrit. One of the ifrit said that I will bring this throne to Prophet Solomon before he gets up from his place. The jinn that is a the jinn that is a Muslim that is weak is called ifrit. But if it's strong, a jinn that is Muslim and is strong is called an ifrit. But if it's a weak one, it's just called a jinn. And a jinn that is a disbeliever and it is strong is called a marid. And these marad are the ones that are chained, shackled in Ramadan. And the jinn that is a disbeliever and is weak, a jinn So jinn strong disbeliever is called marid, and jinn disbeliever weak is called shaitan. And there are many shayateen. There are shayateen of they come in wudu, they come in prayer, they when you make siwak. Now the only thing is that to know is that the shaitan, the devil that is disbeliever, that is weak, strengthens when you disobey. So for instance, we know there's a devil that eats with you, but when does he get strengthened? When you eat without saying Bismillah. In fact, the Prophet informed us that it fattens up. So let's return to our discussion that the remembrance, because some people say zikr isn't zikr enough. It's enough for people of certainty, but we are people who are weak. We need to remember Allah, but we also need to follow the Prophet ﷺ in the in what is in come down to us in amongst the sunnahs. Also, from the secrets in following and obeying the Prophet ﷺ, the Prophet ﷺ informed us that whoever comes to his wife and he doesn't say Bismillah when he goes to his wife for conjugal relations, then the devil partakes in them. Like, it's something really important. When a person is with his wife, then he should remember Allah, otherwise the devil partakes in that act. Even though you don't see it, you don't see it, you don't sense it, or you don't smell it, but the reality is that it's there. This is from the secrets of following the Prophet. We know these things. Imam al-Ghazali has an amazing he has an amazing way of expressing he says from the secrets of following the Prophet ﷺ is that they're the elect, or there are these qualities. There are inward hidden qualities in these sunnahs that you don't see. So you would think these are simple sunnahs, but there are secrets inside these acts that are linked to the hidden world, the world of the angels. This is why we know that in the sunnahs of the Prophet ﷺ, like the du'as that we read, or even the medicines the Prophet would have, like honey. There are people that who get benefit who who get benefit from honey, but then there are some people who don't benefit much from honey, and that has a link to the body type. Uh, there, there's some people who have hot temperament, and some have a cold temperament. And then there's alternative medicine that has understood some of these secrets of things. Um, they will say, put this uh, herb, put this like ginger or whatever in boiling water, and then have it, and then you get healed. People won't know. They might think that it's something that just tastes nice, but it has other characteristics. Maybe that ginger might have cure for cancer, and we don't know. Maybe it has a small uh, portion or small ingredient or small it has some chemical that if you can mix with certain chemicals from another herb, and it can become a cure for cancer, for instance. And we know some of the early righteous Muslims wrote books on these types of things. Have you read a book where it said if somebody has stomach pains, and then it says, for instance, bring bring a leaf from the lemon tree, then get some honey, ginger, and then have it in the morning, etc., and then you'll be fine. Where did they where did they figure these things out? Did they learn it from universities? No, these were knowledges that opened up to them. Like these medicines that we see in the pharmacy, they've been made by the pharmaceuticals, and they're made through experiments. But the early scholars, they were given inspiration, and from this we know that Allah does not create anything in vain. Any type of uh, plant or tree, whether it's small or big, in any particular land, it's not created. It's created for a reason. It will have a cure for something, and we believe that every single tree is created for worship, but it's also created to benefit. It's been created to glorify Allah Azza wa Jal, and that is something between the tree and its Lord. But for me as a human, and I live in this world, and I see these plants and trees grow in front of me, is this just merely for me to look at them and enjoy the view? There's secrets in them. It has minerals, it has nutrients, maybe that if they're mixed with something of with a certain proportion, it becomes a medicine for a certain cure. But who would extrapolate or extract this knowledge? If people spend centuries or generations trying to figure out, it would be almost impossible, because it would require so much of a generational experience. The Prophet said there's no illness except that there's a cure for it. Even though they may be claiming that no doctor has a treatment, it's because they haven't discovered it yet. Any illness, may Allah protect us from all illnesses, outward and inward, any kind of illness has a cure except death. But besides that, everything else has a cure. So for so, so these are some of the special qualities Imam al-Ghazali mentioned, like just as how Allah has made every single thing, every single um, thing in the world have a benefit, a secret benefit. Similarly, Allah has put such secret benefits in all acts of sunnahs. So, like for instance, the toothstick, the siwak, some people might look at that and feel disgusted. And the problem is, some of the Muslims also uh, feel that way about the siwak. They say like they don't like the sound of it and that it has spit on it. This stick, the of arak, it has it has a secret in it, which is that it pleases Allah Azza wa Jal and it angers the devil. How do we know this? This is the secret of it. Isn't there anything else that benefits? No, it's the oud arak, the arak stick. If you use it, it pleases your Lord and it expels the devil. Why it happens, Allah knows best. So you might see it as a piece of stick, but the devil might be seeing it as a sword. So you don't know. So for this reason, we have been commanded or recommended to use the siwak when we pray or when we make wudu or when you go to sleep. Like we know from the hadith that when a person wants to go to sleep, the devil comes and ties 3 knots uh, on him, and he does some kind of like a spell on you, saying to make you fall asleep and tell you that there's a long night ahead of you, and anytime if you'd wake up to pray tahajjud or qiyamul layl, it would um, it would make you feel uh, 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 like tired and go back to sleep. So he's saying that actions that have been narrated from the Prophet ﷺ, when in things like worship, interactions, and even normal things. Uh, it has a link to secrets that impact your hereafter, because sunnahs of the Prophet ﷺ, they benefit you in your life and in the moment of your death and in the hereafter. Don't think sunnahs are just for your life, but they even benefit you at the time of your death and even after you die, even even in the hereafter. Like, uh, let's come back to the sunnah of eating. Sunnah is to eat with your right hand, and we know that to eat with the left is makruh, is disliked. Somebody eats with his left, then we know that the devil ate with him. Is that enough? No. So we said he eats with the devil and he doesn't feel barakah in his food, that after an hour or so he feels hungry. But the effect doesn't stop there, it continues even to the time of death, because you ate food that the devil ate with your enemy. So if you eat with your enemy, the effect of the darknesses enters your heart, and that darkness will stay in you unless Allah saves you by expelling that darkness from your heart. If He doesn't do that, then it'll stay with you till the moment your soul is at your throat. And then that time when you're about to pass away is the final opportunity that the devil's waiting for to misguide you. So if a person always does things in opposition to the sunnah, in the way he eats or drinks or wears his clothes or when he goes to sleep or how he has conjugal relations with his wife, and he always disobeys the sunnah way, he will be shocked to see that at the time of his death his heart will be full of darknesses. Allah Azza wa Jal says clearly in the Quran that say, Rabbi a'udhu bika min hamazat ash-shayateen, a'udhu bika rabbi yahdurun. Oh, my Lord, I seek refuge in you from the whisperings of the devils, but also from them being present. Present when? At the time of your death. So this is something actually very serious and dangerous. So these sunnahs have an effect in your hereafter, and we know it has even effect in your house. The Prophet ﷺ told us that the house in which the Quran is read expands. Sorry, some of the companions said that it becomes expansive for the people in the house. The house in which the Quran is recited, it becomes expansive for the family. A person would think in terms of logic, how is it expanding? Is the wall growing in size? If I read Surah Baqarah, is the house going to grow? No, it's that growth is not something you'll see. It's a metaphorical growth, meaning you feel contentment and you feel at ease. And the people who have huge houses with like 10 bedrooms, and each bedroom is like 3 times the size of your one bedroom, but still he finds like loneliness and and uh, um, and constriction in his house, to the point he can't even stay in his house. So the house in which Quran is read, you feel at ease, you feel relaxed, as if you're flying. There's some people who come, and Habib says he's attended some of the gatherings of his mashayikh, and some of the mashayikh lived in palaces, and then there's some who attended who lived in small rooms, and both types of sheikhs have no dunya in their heart. And Habib met one of his sheikh who had a very simple house, and he would keep getting delegations of students kept visiting him all of the time. The the room the room where he lived would could keep 30 people uh, only, but then you'd find 100 people sitting there, and they would be sitting there not uh, uh, like stuck and everyone's trampling over each other. No, they would be sitting comfortably, and people would be singing their nasheeds, drinking tea. How would that happen? You can't put any logic to it. It was from the Sir of the Prophet ﷺ. Then Imam al-Ghazali says, and we know that Imam al-Ghazali, he, in the beginning of his career or in his education, he didn't read a hadith knowledge or science. It's later on that he started learning about the hadith sciences. So this hadith mentioned is not one of the strong hadiths, uh, but we know that anything the Prophet ﷺ forbade us to do, then we should know that it has uh, it has secrets. Like how we mentioned, if a man goes to his wife for conjugal relations and he doesn't say Bismillah or doesn't remember Allah, then na'udhu billah, the devil uh, fornicates with his wife. Uh, and all these problems then happen because that moment they forgot to remember Allah. Then Imam al-Ghazali says that the Prophet ﷺ, that he speaks about himself saying that if he was given the choice between two things, then he would choose the easier option. He would choose the easier option. The Prophet ﷺ, in his the reason behind the rulings of Sharia is that he would look for what is easy for the ummah. So if, let's say, you anything that has come to us from the Prophet ﷺ, know that that is something that's chosen by the Prophet ﷺ, which was the easier option, because he said, what I've chosen for you is what was the easier option, whether it's an outward thing or an inward thing. So if you come after the Prophet ﷺ and say, no, I want something else, it's as if you're saying, no, I want something that is more difficult. You might be. And how then can you be content with opposing the Prophet ﷺ? As if you're saying to the Prophet ﷺ, I don't want to follow you, I want to follow the more difficult way. They choose things that are in contrary to the Sunnah, and they think that it is easy or better, but then they get surprised and shocked with problems and issues and losses. Either they end up committing suicide, or taking drugs, or they have psychological problems, or they spoil their house, they ruin their house. The Prophet ﷺ said, I chose for you. That's it. Don't you trust the Prophet ﷺ? This is why take this as a rule. Anything that comes to you from the Prophet ﷺ, know that the Prophet ﷺ chose that for you. And he said that I chose the easier option. Don't tire yourself. Don't go to somebody else, because anything else you'd go to will be difficult. It will be pressure on which will be difficulty upon you. We ask Allah Azza wa Jal that He grants us obedience towards the Prophet ﷺ, obedience of the Prophet ﷺ. The third secret is that felicity of human is to follow the Prophet ﷺ, and the one who follows his desires, the one who doesn't follow the Prophet ﷺ. Either you follow the Prophet ﷺ or you follow your desires. There's only these two choices. If you don't follow him, then you are following your own desires and your devils. So if you were to follow the Prophet ﷺ, your image, as in the image of your actions, takes the form that is beloved and to Allah, and it is illuminated, and it has an angelic appearance. It has a beautiful appearance. It's not like you'll be an angel. In fact, we know the angels are very beautiful. You will be in that beautiful form because you did actions in accordance to the Sunnah that made your actions appear as beautiful as the Prophet ﷺ's actions. The Prophet ﷺ was best in appearance and in his character, and you too can be like that. And then there's no human who follows the Prophet ﷺ except that there is a beautiful appearance about him. There's something really beautiful about him, even though he might have a simple appearance, but he'll have something really beautiful about him, while there will be someone else who has a really outwardly handsome or beautiful form, but he has something very demonic about him. And we know on the Day of Judgment you will be transformed into your actual form. We hear nowadays about artificial intelligence, the virtual reality, and all of that stuff. The virtual life is this life that we're living. This is not the real life. It exists, but the images that we see are not the real images. Your image and the image of other people is not their real images, because the reality of things are their actions. The image of actions appears on the Day of Judgment. What are our images in this world? Our images are the beautiful concealing of Allah Azza wa Jal. Everyone has been concealed by what Allah has manifested on us. People would see us as someone who is well kept beard, well kept clothes. That's all they see. But what your reality is, as in your qualities inside you, if you're someone who is spiteful, somebody who's jealous, or somebody who's arrogant, or somebody who's cheat, these are ugly appearances, disgusting appearances, and these are scary appearances, but that is your reality. but Allah has concealed it in this world to give you an opportunity to change it. We always say that from the greatest of blessings of Allah Azza wa Jalla upon us is that we're still in the form of his conceal of what he has veiled, covered us, of his cover, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's cover. Since the moment we were born till now, we have been covered by Allah Azza wa Jal, by his beautiful cover, because just one sin can if deface our actual appearance. Imagine somebody just shaves off his eyebrows, or he shaves off his lashes from one of his eyes. He'd look strange. He shaves off things he doesn't have, so he's not supposed to shave, and he leaves things to grow that are to be shaved. Imagine somebody just shaves off his eyebrows. He won't look nice. Similarly, sins, they make you look ugly, but you don't feel it, and you think that you're beautiful. So imagine if somebody loses his eye. He says he wants one eye, or he cuts off his ears just to look beautiful. Will he look beautiful? No. Like how devil worshippers are doing right now. If you search them on the YouTube, they have a really strange appearances. Is this somebody who's using his senses? No. It's the devil who's convinced them that in this form you look beautiful. They look beautiful, yes, in the eyes of the devil. But we want you to look beautiful in the eyes of the Prophet, in the eyes of Sayyidina Abu Bakr, and Sayyidina Umar, Sayyidina Uthman, Sayyidina Ali, Sayyidina Fatima, radiallahu anhum, and the family of the Prophet, and in before Allah Azza wa Jal. This is what real beauty is. So we, in this world, this is your virtual life, meaning your image in this world is not your real image. This image of your face right now is Allah's cover. You are covered by Allah Azza wa Jal. But your actions on the Day of Judgment will be in the image of your heart. And from the mercy of Allah Azza wa Jal is that He shows some people in their dreams images of themselves that may not be nice to look at. We tell you that that's your reality. Or he sees that there's a dog that entered their house, and they're like, what does that mean? It means there's a person who entered your house in the last week. A person entered your house. What does it mean he comes in the form of a dog? Meaning he has a quality of the qualities of the dog. Meaning there's nothing bad about the image of the dog, because the dog is a creation. Even the pig is a creation. There's nothing wrong in his appearance because Allah formed him in that appearance, but it's that quality in it that is reprehensible. Like the dog is got the greed, not greed, and or the anger in it, and the swine has no or he sees in his dream that he's talking to a dog. It's not the dog that you're talking to. It's a person you're speaking to who has qualities of dog. But Allah covered him. Even in your dream, He covered. But you want to know to protect yourself, but that's enough for you to know. But Allah will not reveal for you the person's bad deeds or bad qualities as long as there's opportunity for him to repent. Just as how that you have bad qualities that Allah has not revealed to other people. So just as you want Allah to cover you in the dreams of other people, similarly He has covered other people in your dreams. There are great wisdoms in these. And these are affairs of the divine dominion. We came into this world not knowing anything, but Allah Azza wa Jal sent this great beloved that whose birth we celebrate, so that we come to realization that we're celebrating this great person who who who's who's speaking to us on behalf of Allah Azza wa Jal. You should you should blindly follow him. That if you follow him, you will be successful, and that you will be protected without doubt. But who has fooled and tricked the people? Like how Abi Amr says, who has tricked you? Who is it that has tricked you? The disbelievers came to the Prophet ﷺ and to other prophets before him with their idols, and Allah Azza wa Jal said, name them. Where is this idol that you say is the idol of the moon, or idol of love, or idol of give me their names. There are no names. They name things that don't exist. So then he says, and he has animalistic qualities manifesting over their heart. And so the question is, do you want to be like an animal? No. And the animal has no control over his movements. He uh, he jumps jumps to his prey uh, without control. This is the life of an animal. It has to prey. Uh, there's no law. There's some animals that even eat their kids, and they're no reproach for this. You can't say, how did this lion eat its children? You can't judge them by your law. They have their own law. They have certain senses, but their senses are in that limited world. And then he says, if you're in a difficult situation to ride a animal, then don't be in a situation where the animal rides you. If you get up on top of a horse or a donkey or a camel or an elephant or any type of similar animals, mules and donkeys, let's say you sit on top of a horse. You don't say, go wherever you want to, and I'll just sit on top of you. You ride the horse and you direct the horse. This is why the scholars say that donkeys and mules and other such beasts are like your ego. So you have no way to escape your ego. So instead of the ego riding you, you should be controlling it and riding it. Imam al-Busiri says that the ego is like a infant that nurses, and if you don't uh, uh, wean it off, it'll get accustomed to just uh, 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 nursing, being nursed. So you have to be in the middle part, meaning you don't stop it completely, and at the same time you don't neglect it completely, and you do this until you have full control over your ego. So the prophets, the sunnahs of the Prophet rear your ego, and they restrain your ego until it's under, until they're in, until they are in accordance with what the Prophet Allah and the Prophet wants. For instance, bringing the topic of food, you're hungry. What stops you from eating with your left hand? Nothing. But if I eat with my right hand, I am following the Prophet ﷺ, I am following his way, I'm following a system. Even though he hasn't seen the Prophet ﷺ in the outward form, there's no difference eating with your left or your right, because I'm eating the same food. But if I'm eating with my right hand, then my hand is a servant of Allah Azza wa Jal, and is in accordance with the system of the Prophet ﷺ. And so I am a slave in the way I dress, in the way I sleep, in the way I leave my house or enter my house. The more you follow the Prophet ﷺ in your habits, to the point that you follow him in the way you eat, and the way you dress, and the way you sleep, and the way you work, then in doing that you become a complete servant, a complete servitude. And if you become a complete and perfected servant, then Allah chooses you or selects you, because as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the hadith Qudsi, my servant continues to come close to me. He doesn't say my the person continues to close, or he doesn't say the man or the woman continues. He says, and my slave continues to draw closer to me with voluntary acts of worship, which is the sunnahs. So sunnahs are what bring you close to Allah Azza wa Jal. The obligatory things also bring you close to Allah, but in a different way. They protect you from the punishment. But the real closeness comes in following the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Yeah, ask Allah Azza wa Jal that He grants us enabling grace.
سيد عادل الهاشمي وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. وسرنا وجودك بدرس في هذا الدرس المبارك، الله يجزيكم خير. الأخ أو وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
The question, Sister Zahra, you should put it on the Arabic channel for Habib to read. Habib is not able to read these questions.
يطلب السيد عادل دعاء المعونة من الله لشكر النعم وشفاء مرضانا والعسر سنة حقيقة الغداء. الله إن شاء الله يرزقنا ذلك. كلنا محتاجون أو محتاجين لهذا. ومن الأذكار التي تعطي القوة في ذكر دائما نكرره، بسيط سهل. هذا الذكر يعين على طاعة الله.
There's a zikr that makes it very easy for us to obey Allah and to distance ourselves from sin, and that is to say, La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. It is a treasure from the treasure troves of paradise. This zikr has something special that helps you in doing good deeds. And we even say this when we hear the mu'adhin say Hayya al falah, because to pray requires help.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Habib, this is your sister Dua from Mexico. Please, I ask you for Dua. Welcome, sister Dua, mashallah. May Allah inshallah ta'ala accept you, give you inshallah ta'ala يعني مدد inshallah, protect you, give you all you want inshallah ta'ala, and every one with us inshallah ta'ala, every Muslim ومسلمة. محمد شبير، لا تقصر، أنت لست مقصر، والدعاء مطلوب إن شاء الله. حاشاكم، أنتم مشمرين إن شاء الله جميعا. محبوب، وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته ونعمه وإكرامه ومدده. الأخ نوران، وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. نعم، الصوت قطع جماعة لعله في الكيبلات. It's okay for me sound different from area to area. آمين. الله يحفظكم جميعا. الأخ علي، وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. الله يحفظنا وإياكم جميعا في الصحة والعافية، آمين. الأخ علي seeks to know. الله يبارك فيك، وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. أحبك الله فيما أحببت من أجله، ونحن نحبكم كذلك بالله عز وجل، ويرزقنا وإياكم العلم النافع والعمل، ويبارك فيك ويعطيك حتى يرضيك في عافية إن شاء الله. الأخ أبو بكر، وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. جزاكم الله خير for giving food to our food. ما شاء الله ما شاء الله. best food إن شاء الله. enjoy. الله يبارك فيك. هذا كلام النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. This is كلام النبي not كلام. الله يسهل لكم وتيسير التسهيل إن شاء الله. الأخت ليلى، وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. أنت have help with this class. جزاكم الله خير على